Hello, in this CloudSuite Industrial Sightline snippet video, we will review the standard Engineering Change Notice or ECN capabilities. Now, there are many common manufacturing challenges regarding engineering change notices, one of which deals with customer demands. Customers are regularly changing their requirements and their overall demands and expecting their suppliers to be able to meet these demands without causing any delays to their supply chain. Now, these changes could also be initiated internally by manufacturing companies for improved efficiencies or margins or possibly to target new industries. Reviewing and approving these changes are also a common challenge. Visibility to the proposed challenges is critical. Reviewing the changes to determine the feasibility and adapting the change request is a common challenge that manufacturing companies face. Defining and following that approval process can also be difficult and many times manual, involving meetings or sometimes multi-part forms. A third common challenge then is applying the change once it's approved. Once it is approved, the change needs to be enacted and adopted, and this could apply to a one-time change or deviation or a permanent change going forward. Now, this could also involve global substitutions, substituting Part A with Part B. Date effectivity and use-of logic could also be applied to the engineering change notice. So let's see how CloudSuite Industrial Sightline attacks and solves these common manufacturing challenges with regards to the engineering change notices. Now, CloudSuite Industrial is an end-to-end business solution. In this snippet video, we will be focusing on the engineering change notices. So here is an engineering change notice number 22. We can see the header information at the top of the form. Information pertaining to the ECN and the purpose behind it can also be identified, including the reason for the change. It could be customer initiated or it could be internally initiated. Who needs to be aware of the impact of the change? All of those parameters can be identified on a per ECN basis. This ECN or engineering change notice has two lines on it. This information could also be on two separate ECNs, depending on the customer's preference. The first line we can see is a change to a current operation. So this would be a permanent change once approved going forward as to how this particular part is made. We can see the details of the proposed change at the bottom. So we can see the part number and the operation that the proposed change involves. And this change is involving a change to the work center, which would also result in a faster manufacturing rate. Now, in this example, this could be a machine that is being purchased and being installed, so it could have an effectivity date reflecting when the machine will be available for production. In this example, on 10/1/2024, Operation 10, an assembly operation, will now be done in this machine utilizing this standard rate. This is an example of a permanent change for this part going forward, and in this example, we are also applying effectivity date logic as well too. Now, on this ECN, there's also a second proposed change. This involves a change to a specific job bill of material. So this would be a one-time change, possibly based on a deviation from the customer. The item that the change is involving is a forklift, and the production job that is out there and operation are also being identified. And in this case, we are adding a material to the job's bill of material, again, signifying a one-time change. We can see the details of the change at the bottom. So we can see that we are adding some chromium steel, specifically 2 1/4 pounds, into this particular job. Again, this reflects a one-time change where the ECN is only going to impact a single job production order. Manufacturing companies might also need to do global substitutions as well too. So if they wanted to change from one part number to another, CloudSuite Industrial Sightline supports that change. In this example, we can see multiple bill of material references for the original part number FL-10,000, looking to replace it with an FL-20,000. We can see that there are some engineering bills of material that the original item is called out on, some quoted bills of material, as well as a production job. CloudSuite Industrial provides the capability to do a global substitution in addition to the one-off change that we previously saw. This too could involve effectivity dating as well. CloudSuite Industrial also provides a standard workflow tool that allows manufacturing companies to identify what is their review and approval process for engineering change notices. For example, submitting this ECN request for approval can initiate the workflow process automatically and will follow the steps that each manufacturing customer defines within their workflow process. CloudSuite Industrial Standard Workflow Tool will now route the ECN to the appropriate individuals for their review and subsequent approval process. These individuals could be internal employees or potentially external employees as well too, possibly the customer, vendor, or some third party involved in it. In this particular case, we can see that our ECN number 22 has a request for approval, specifically adding that job material to the job that the forklift was being produced under. The automated workflow process within CloudSuite Industrial allows the individuals to provide their input into the workflow process, in this case approving this engineering change notice. We now have seen how the approval process can be defined and involve the appropriate individuals to make sure that the appropriate action is taken. We can now see on the engineering change notice that request has been approved. And upon a manager's final review and approval, can now post that, and at that point, the job's bill of material would be updated. So now we've seen how CloudSuite Industrial solves these common manufacturing challenges regarding ECNs. The ability to identify what are the changes, whether they're driven by a customer or potentially internally. The process of applying a workflow to be able to review and approve those changes and make sure that the appropriate individuals are involved and that an audit trail of the change process is maintained. And once the change has been reviewed and approved, the ability to enact and adopt that automatically. This can all be accomplished with the standard engineering change notice capabilities within CloudSuite Industrial.